Ladies and guys who still remember how fucking cool it was to wear your hat sideways in the 90s, Andy here, author of the best Tinder guide on the internet, and actual founder of the 90s. This is the Kill You're in a Loser show. Let's fucking go.
Do you think it was actually cool, or you just thought it was cool?
It was cool. Look how cool I look. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look how fucking cool I look. I'm gonna bring this shit back. Wait, where's my fucking hat? It's mirrored on the video.
Please
I'm bringing this back. Sideways hat. So, this is part 4 in a probably 8-part series. I don't fucking know. We'll try and keep it to 7. Talking about what we achieved or things that we're grateful for that happened, things that we did, however you want to phrase that, in 2021. Go and watch the first one. Otherwise, a lot of this won't make sense. I talk through why I recommend you guys do the same thing. The whole purpose of this exercise, as in going through everything you did over the last year, is to give yourself credit so you have positive momentum going forwards. Go watch that first video. I run through like how you can do this exercise yourself. A lot of important information. So don't just listen to this if you haven't listened to the first one. Let's get straight into it. Joined by my favorite girlfriend. Of all my girlfriends that I've ever had, probably the favorite one. I'd say your top 3. Nah, you're the favorite. Don't look at me like that. How dare you? So we will start from 37, which is that we finished our 365 projects. So if you're not familiar, I started a project doing a podcast or a YouTube video every single day. I didn't miss a day, got it all done, did that. And you did a piece of artwork every single day. How was that for you? How was the end? Everybody probably remembers the beginning, and if they don't, they're not a true fan. They're not an OG.
Sure.
They probably wear their hat forwards like a fucking loser. So how was the end?
Was definitely glad to see the end of it.
Yeah, me too.
Got really sick of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But it was helpful. It was helpful because the main reason that I did it with my art specifically was because I had a big ego when it came to my art. I felt like things needed to be perfect. I would get very upset when it wasn't. That's kind of always been the case for me. So this helped me get over the fact that some days, if you're going to produce something every day, it's going to be shit. But that's fine.
You're giving yourself permission not to be perfect. That's the point of a 365 project. So it's also a good motivator. If you feel like you've been a bit lazy, you can throw yourself in there and say, okay, I have to do something every day. And it can be anything. It doesn't have to be a piece of content. It can be, I'm going to go to the gym every single day for a year and see what happens. I'm going to do 20 push-ups a day every day. I'm going to, other people learn a musical instrument. And so they say, I have to play one song, or if you want to make it easier, because a song's a lot to learn, I have to learn one fucking, what's a musical term? Bar? Riff? I don't fucking know.
Line
of cocaine. You'll do 1 line of cocaine every day for a year. I could see that being very helpful. Highly recommend that.
And then you also did one for your podcasts.
I've never had... No, I had cocaine one time, remember? I was such a pussy, I didn't want to try it.
You did like something so negligible that
I felt nothing. And I was like, right, that's me done. I've done the hard drugs now. I can say I've tried a hard drug. Now it's back to LSD and fucking
So you
sugar.
did your 365 for podcasts, which a lot of which ended up being uploaded to YouTube. And how did you find that? Good
interview questions, by the way. So I did, I guess the next point, number 38, is that I wrote down 400 podcasts and YouTube channels. Is that correct? Did I do 400?
Videos?
Because I know I did more than 365. There were quite a few days where I did extra stuff, like 2. So I don't know if it was that, but whatever. Let's say I did minimum 370 YouTube videos or podcasts or whatever. That's a lot of content. I didn't actually, it's not until you do the end of a 365 project, and for you, doing 365 pieces of art, you did more technically, but it's like, that's insane. That's a lot of content.
Yeah, it was funny.
That's fucking insane.
Because I've been notorious for accumulating lots and lots of art supplies for years and years and years and just never using any of it. And all of a sudden I was actually getting through some sketchbooks and pages. I was producing a lot, and it was helpful. And I definitely saw, for particular things where I continued to do it, like the same sort of artwork on a regular basis. Like I did life drawing. So drawing nude models from viewing them, I found like you did see a very obvious improvement, obviously, going.
Oh, of course, yeah.
I mean, that's part of the point of the project as well, is that you do see a pretty rapid improvement when you're doing something every day.
Yeah, and for anyone else who's, getting started with or thinking about starting content creation, maybe you want to start a YouTube channel, a podcast, a blog, do some art, learn an instrument, anything like that, best advice, or one of the best articles I wrote on this concept was just do a bunch of content and some of it will be golden. Your mission has to be, or a good mission is to have like just do a 365 project, do 365 pieces of content, and maybe 100 of them, maybe 50 of them will be just like amazing, like the best thing you've ever done. You'll go, holy shit, how did I produce that? And a huge bunch of it will just be like pretty good. Some of it will be dog shit. That's kind of the process. It teaches you the artistic, or the process of creativity, the process of creation, which is not everything you do is perfect. Another way of phrasing that is it's all a fucking numbers game. And so if you want good content, or if you want to do something that really means something to yourself or to other people, you have to do a bunch of it. You don't just go out there and go, okay, I'll rephrase that. Very few people go, okay, I'm going to do one piece of content and it's going to be the best piece of content ever. That almost never really happens. That's not usually the process of creation. It's more a process of like slowly carving away at your craft, learning, making a million mistakes, getting better. So something like a 365 project definitely helps with that. Or even if you just did something once a week, that's useful as well. Mm-hmm. I also did a bunch of articles as well.
Yeah, lots of content.
I did quite a lot of articles, yeah. And I wrote a bunch of emails. I have like an email newsletter, like a list that people sign up for. And I write like custom stuff on there. A lot of it is just like a rehashing of articles, but I did write quite a few like custom emails. So a bunch of extra content there, which was cool. Basically just immersing myself in the act of creation. Yeah. And I can give shout outs to other people that did the same thing. Joe from Passion Unchained did a 365 project. Cam Radical did his own 365 project. Quite a few other people did. Quite a few people signed up at the same time as me. So it was cool seeing a few of them finish at the same time. There's a guy on my forums who took a photo every day for a year. That guy that I interviewed, Jeremy, he did cello every day. Yeah, so. Number 40. Big one for us.
Yeah, we were more loving with each other.
Mm-hmm.
We made a conscious effort to be more intimate and specifically letting go of things that maybe we were a little bit unhappy with in the relationship, and learning to kind of love each other.
Yeah, like another way of phrasing that is having less expectations. And now that doesn't mean not achieving goals. It's more like, one thing you'll find, guys, when you're in a relationship is you have hopes for the other person. Like, and this applies for your friends. This applies for anyone. You want your friends or your relationship or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your husband or your wife, whatever, to achieve things. And it's very easy when you're the other person to go like, oh, if you just change this one little thing here, your life would be amazing. Like, just change this one little thing. We talked about this on the previous podcast. Like, you just want to get in there and just change that one thing.
It's so easy to think that if you could just change this, or if I could make things different, I could make it perfect.
Yeah. And it can be tempting to say, it's such a tempting thing to say, it's easy for me. It would be easy for me to give this thing up. And so therefore you should just like do it too. And I've definitely been victim of that in our relationship, saying like, oh, come on, like just change this. Like, why won't you just change this one thing, or change this other thing, or do this, or hey, if you just stop doing this, or hey, this is making you unhappy, stop doing it. And so we've focused more on, instead of trying to change the other person, or you're still trying to change you're still trying to help the person. So it's not like giving up. I want to make that clear, but it's more like patience. Patience is probably a better way of phrasing this rather than anything else.
Like a loving acceptance of where you are now, and an encouragement to still progress, but still being happy with the way that things are.
And this applies to, I've had some friends of mine or coaching clients of mine or guys on the forums that have started their own coaching businesses. And the best thing I can teach them is, or one of the best things I can teach them is, be more patient with your clients. Like, understand that just because you would change something and you can see the answer that they need, it might take them, you might have to tell them 5 times before finally something clicks and they go, oh shit, maybe I should stop fucking eating Doritos and watching Netflix and jerking off to porn and drinking alcohol. Maybe that is making me unhappy. You're right. You were right. And it's like, yeah, I told you that fucking 50 times. So there is like a level of patience there. Same as if you have friends. Maybe you're someone that's just gotten into self-improvement. Maybe you've just gone outside and started talking to women. Maybe you've started a business or something, and you can see a friend who's deeply unhappy, and you're like, man, just come out with me and talk to women. I'll help you. Or let's go to the gym together and lose weight. Come on, I want to help you. Or just read this book. This book will make everything better. I promise. Read this book. But the person takes a little while, or they resist it. understand that everybody has their own shit that they're dealing with, and yes, it's very easy to just say like, hey, read this book and everything will be better, I promise. And you're correct. Like, a lot of the time you're correct. You know that the person would be happy if they do this thing, but they're just not ready for it yet. It's like I wrote that article, you can't save, or I did that video, you can't save everyone. And people are ready for shit when they're ready for shit. You can push that along. And of course, that's the mission here. I'm not just going to sit here and say, when you're ready for it, I'm going to help you. No, I force help a lot of the time. I push it. I nag. I will do motivational videos. I'll yell at you sometimes if I think you need it. I'll be kind other times. So you do still want to try it, but I think we've both been a lot more patient with each other, and focused on like, well, okay, like things are okay now. I'm happy with you here. I like being here. Let's not live in the future, which is what we were doing. Like, let's wait till everything's perfect. Let's wait till we're a fucking rich power couple and we can travel the real world and we both have abs and we're super muscular and sexy and nothing bothers us and we're happy all the time. It's like, that's going to take like 5 years to get to that point. Like, calm the fuck down and be happy now.
Yeah, realistically, everything that we want is going to take some time.
Correct.
And it's going to be a long time of being unhappy if we weren't going to learn to be happy now.
Yes. For sure. Next one, I'll read it out because it's personal to me. My friend, we convinced him to leave Melbourne. So for those of you who don't know, Melbourne was still is like a terrible place with laws and lockdowns and police shooting other protesters with rubber, all that kind of bullshit, right? So my friend was there and he was deeply unhappy. That's the relevant part of this story. And it took me probably like a year of nagging him. And I wasn't nagging every day, but I was just, anytime he'd be really depressed, I would gently say, mate, you know that you can come and crash on my couch at any point. Like, move here, jump on a plane, come live here, sell all your shit, just come here and I'll look after you and I'll introduce you to friends and you'll like it here, it's nice. And that took, that was hard for me, seeing my friend suffer, because he's my best mate. He's been there from the start. He was there from the start of my self-improvement. I've known this guy for like 6 or 7 years at this point. Like, he was there from the very start. He was like a big motivating factor. He helped me a ton. He really was there for me a lot. He's taken me to hospital when I needed him to. That weed story that I talked about when I had the panic attack and shit from weed, he took me to the hospital. So he's like he'd take a fucking bullet for me in a heartbeat. And I would for him too. And it was hard seeing him be that miserable there in this shitty city that didn't deserve him. And so probably, 3 months ago, I went on a mission and I was like, nah, fuck this. Okay. So this ties into this is a nice counterpoint to what I said a couple of points ago, which is, you can't save everyone, you can't push everyone. Sometimes you can sense that someone's ready, or maybe you can't even sense it, but you just try it anyway. Someone's ready to change. And so I basically went on a mission where I was like, no, fuck this. No, I'm not going to see my friend throw his life away, which is essentially what he was doing. Sitting there withering away, like unhappy and depressed, not doing anything.
Yeah, it was becoming a bit apathetic to life.
Yeah, he was. He was becoming very fucking depressed and saying like, what's the point of marriage and kids? What's the point of finding a girlfriend? What's the point of making money? What's the point of like being happy? Like, he was getting very fucking depressed, as you would if you live in a shithole city where there's like a police state. And so I went on a mission and I was like, right, I'm going to get this guy fucking here. He's going to come here. I sent him like $3,000 or something, because you have to pay for your own imprisonment basically when you move between states in Australia. You have to hotel quarantine and pay for it yourself. So I sent him the money because he was making excuses. He was like, I can't come because it costs $3,000 and I'm not going to pay $3,000 for my own prison sentence for 2 weeks, 14 days. That's insane. And I was like, right, I've just bank transferred you the money. Here you go. And he was like, mate, I don't really know what to say to that. And then he came up with some other excuses and I was like, no, doesn't matter, here's the answer. And so I was just bombarding him with answers to every single problem that he threw up. I was solving all the problems. And then finally he ran out of excuses and he was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And then he did, true to his word. He's here now. He's crashing with me now on my couch.
Yeah, and as well as that, I was also telling him about how much nicer it was here. Obviously, because we'd moved from the same city. It was showing him that people were relatively normal here and things were nicer and you could go outside, like all of that sort of stuff. I
took videos of people like dancing in bars and people doing salsa dancing in some restaurant and kids being adorable with their dogs. We just walked around and I vlogged for like a week or so. I was just taking like 30 or 40, 50 videos and sending them all to him. And it's such a stark contrast from where he was, where like you literally couldn't go outside. Everything was closed, police outside. And he was like, holy shit, like everyone's being normal where you are. And I was like, yeah, dude, why do you think I keep telling you to come here? So that was a really important one for me. I felt like I needed to, and obviously if he had still said no, then what am I supposed to, there's nothing more I could have done. Well, there's more I could have done, but I would have let go and been like, okay, like
at some point
he's
you
not
do
ready.
let people make their own decisions.
For sure. But it felt like the right time. And I'm very happy with myself that I pushed him, and I definitely made that happen. There's 0% chance he would have come. And he said that, like, he wasn't going to come unless I harassed him. On that note, I don't even think we wrote this on here. I don't think we did, but let's add it anyway. I also convinced another one of my mates. He's not here yet. He's coming in he's coming in early February. But I convinced him. Same story, everything the same. Less depressed, but more just apathetic. For any of you who follow my content, this is the guy who did that video with me where he cucked some guy. He was a bull, and so he cucked some guy's wife and like fucked the wife in front of the guy. The guy wanted it to happen, so it's not like a full cucking, but I guess it's technically a cucking when a black man fucks your wife in front of you. That is technically, so that guy. So he's coming here. I'll probably get him to do some podcasts with me. He wants to. Yeah. All right, number 42.
Next one.
I quit caffeine. Number 43, I took a year off from video games. Number 44, and I started tackling my porn addiction. The reason I'm putting all these as the same one is I just did a video. I'm pretty sure I'm going to release it before these. So you guys already would have watched it, and I talked about an update on that. So there's no point like recovering that. But that's going pretty good. Yeah. Number 45.
So we started slowing things down with girls that we see together.
While you talk, I'm going to pause it. I should have paused it before I said I'm going to pause it. Okay, never mind. So I'm not going to pause it. So just reread that one.
So number 45 is that we started to slow things down with the girls that we're seeing. And what we mean by that is that rather than basically sleeping with them immediately as soon as we met them, generally speaking now, we've started just meeting for a drink on the first date, chatting, getting to know each other, asking a few questions. And then the second time we see them, we'll actually invite them back and play around.
Yeah. And we've had plenty of times where we really like the girl and we say like, okay, why don't we just still invite her back on the first date? And the rule that we've given ourselves, or I guess you could say it's not a rule, it's like a thing that we want to do, challenge, whatever you'd call it, is my dick can't go in them. That's basically the rule. And the reason that we're doing this is in the past we had a bunch of like one night stands, or we'd sleep with, and it wasn't intentional. I was always so hyper focused on sleeping with girls on the first date that waiting until the second date felt like a backward step for me. And that was just because that had been a habit that I'd built. You know, I spent so much time having sex with the girl on the first date, like basically within like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 10 minutes of meeting her, felt like such a huge accomplishment for me because it took me so long, because it took me so much effort, because I was terrified to do it and all of that sort of stuff. So by the time I got to a point where I could sleep with girls on the first date, like that, I was like, this is the pinnacle. I've made it. This is the peak. It doesn't get better than this. If you have sex with a girl on a second date, that's not as good. The further along I got, especially when we started seeing girls together, like you and I've slowly started to, over probably the last year, definitely the last 2 years, come to a point where it's like, yeah, but then you're just sleeping with a lot of people that you don't really know that well, and then a deal breaker will come out, or that you really aren't that into her personality, or maybe her body isn't as attractive as you thought, and you were just kind of like going with the flow. You didn't give yourself enough time to actually make sure you like the person. Now, for those of you who just are inexperienced and you just go, dude, I don't care about any of that. I just want a woman to be fucking nice to me. Fine. You can sleep with a girl whenever you want to. There's nothing wrong with sleeping with someone on the first date. It's more that you need to understand the pros and cons of like different ways of doing it. If you wait till date 5 before you have sex with someone, you would have built up a lot of anticipation, which can be fun. You'll really get to know each other, but then there'll be some negatives. There'll be a lot of pressure on both of you. Maybe you both get naked and you decide like, oh shit, like I'm not actually that attracted to the person, or the chemistry isn't that good, or we both kind of suck at sex and it's not fun, or she's weird during sex, like whatever it is. And you've now spent 5 dates getting to that point, so it feels like a lot of wasted time. So there's pros and cons for different ways of doing it. Maybe if you have sex on the first date, that can be fun because it's spontaneous, it's sexy, it makes you feel validated, it's romantic and fucking not romantic, but like sexy for her, spontaneous, exciting, impulsive, like all of that. That's amazing, especially if you had a drink or two. I wouldn't recommend getting drunk. I don't ever recommend getting drunk, but if you had a drink or two, it's like, oh, fun, and we feel good and fuck each other's brains out. It's crazy. But then some of the cons are, they are, you know less about them.
Yeah, and I think
you know less about each other.
Especially with what we were doing where the intention was so explicitly sexual. We were, at the very, very start, inviting girls straight over to your apartment.
Like, as in, we wouldn't even go on a date. We'd just say, come straight to my apartment. Meet us straight at our apartment.
And then sometimes, they would be sitting on the couch. And there's been times where you haven't necessarily been super attracted to them.
Yeah.
And then we go ahead with sex anyway because it's like they've come over for sex.
Yeah, so you feel almost obliged.
Yeah, and so it's been...
Well, you put pressure on yourself.
Yeah, and it's been a bit of a transition slowly because initially it was just going on a date first and we would always invite them back if we liked them, and now it's slowing it down even more. And it is just so that we... I guess, like you said, it makes sure that we actually like them because we are moving away from just having one-off experiences with girls because...
We don't want a bunch of one-night stands, basically, because we've been there, done that. Nothing... I was going to say nothing wrong with it. I don't actually believe that when I say that. So, and the reason is, if you're having a one-night stand, if you have a one-night stand, it implies that the sex wasn't good enough to do it again, or you didn't like the person enough to do it again, or, something like that. And I don't think our mission is necessarily, and maybe not for most of you, I don't think the mission is to go out and have a bunch of mediocre experiences with people that we don't like that much, or that we aren't that attracted to. Or maybe you'd fuck her once or twice, but like, you're not that into her. I think that's fine at the start to get a bit of experience. Even then, you can avoid that. So I won't even say it's fine at the start. I'm certainly never going to judge someone for a one-night stand, but I don't think that's the goal. I don't think that's something to be proud of.
Opposed to, seeing somebody a couple of times or having something more ongoing.
If you had sex with someone like 5 times or more ongoing, like you see each other for 6 months, 3 months, whatever, like you're implying that you like each other a lot more, that you did a better job of screening. And again, I hope none of this comes across as like one way is the right way or not. That's entirely up to you guys. You guys are all adults. It's up to you to figure out what you like, what you don't like, what works for you, what works for the girl as well. She's another person in the equation too. It's not just what you want, although what you want will have a big, obviously a dominant part of it because you're the person doing it. So yeah, we're moving more towards slowing things down a little bit. Yeah. We have had a couple of girls that we really fucking like, and we just go, like I said, like, come back to our place, we'll fool around. We usually just tie them up, show them some toys, and I don't fuck them. And I don't fuck you either. Or I'm trying not to, but sometimes I get horny and I fuck you. But the rule is, like, dick cannot go in them.
Is the attempted boundary for most of the time.
Because if you, and the reasoning behind that is sticking your dick in them is like the next logical step. Okay, you've actually fucked. Whereas if you are trying to slow it down and give yourself a bit of like time to make sure you both like the person, because remember there's 2 of us here, so we do like slowing it down a little more to make sure we both like the girl. Because there's been quite a few times now where you like someone and I just go like, no, I'm not attracted to her. Or there's been one where I was like, oh my god, she's so fucking hot, like perfect, but exactly what I want, and you were just like, no, I'm just no. And we rushed into things. We had sex on one of those occasions, and it was like, fuck, it was almost like disappointing for me, because I'm like, god damn it, like I had sex with her, I want to fuck her again, but like, you're not into her, and we talked about it, and you were like, no, there's no way, I'm sorry, but I'm really not attracted to her. And we've had the reverse. And so moving away from that, it's easier to just fool around with someone. Maybe you try a couple of things, try some ropes, have a nice night, and then if you don't want to see each other again, you haven't like fully invested in each other. You're just like, we just like fooled around a bit. Not that sex is a big investment, but you get what I mean.
It doesn't necessarily feel like a one-night stand if you're not actually
having
sex.
It doesn't. It somehow feels different. And again, I want to make it clear, all of this shit is more, this is like really advanced. I wouldn't even say it's advanced stuff, but there'll be a lot of guys that like none of this applies to. They're like, dude, I just want a woman to be nice to me. I don't care, first date, 10th date, I don't give a shit. If I get laid at all, if she even wants to fucking have sex with me, I'm blown away. That's amazing. So don't stress so much about this shit. But there is no right or wrong. I would highly recommend not having one-night stands, because they don't tend to feel good. But it's up to you to figure that shit out. You can either listen to my advice on this and go, yeah, I'm not ever going to have a one-night stand. Most guys don't want a one-night stand. Most women don't want a one-night stand. I think if you're okay with a one-night stand, ignoring the fact that it will sometimes happen. But if you're seeking a one-night stand, I think you're running from intimacy. I think you're running from connection. You're running from the person figuring out who you are. You're running from vulnerability. You're basically saying, I'm going to have shallow level, like surface level lays because I don't want the person to find out the real me because they probably wouldn't like the real me. That's usually where it comes from.
Yeah. I think something else that might be worth noting with this particular point is also that I know it's something that we talked about a little bit, but there was at times like part of where the urge to have sex on the first date came from was the urge to like lock it in. Because once you have sex with someone, it makes them more likely to see...
Especially when you have sex twice.
To see you again.
Usually if you've had sex with someone twice, they will keep seeing you.
And I think for both of us, I guess, it was important to, I guess in a way, let go of that and have a bit more of an abundance with girls and not feel as if they're just going to leave, they're going to flake. Like we need to have sex with them now before they go. And just being more relaxed about it all.
Yeah. Yeah, because I went through a weird phase, didn't I? Where it's like all the abundance that I'd built up, like this idea that I can get laid whenever I want, all of that kind of temporarily faded into the background because it felt like doing stuff with you. I felt like a newbie again. It's now like a couple trying to date girls. And so it felt like a whole new process to learn. It felt like obviously everything you've learned is exactly the same. Like it's all the same, but it felt somewhat... I wouldn't even say harder because it's not harder to get laid as a couple at all, but it's just different. And I felt like I was resetting. And I think some of my abundance mentality shit reset as well for a little while there, where I was like, exactly like you said, I was like, oh, I want to fuck them on the first date so we can lock them in so I can just, guarantee that they'll keep seeing us. And yeah, being able to let go of that and be like, why are you so desperate for this shit? Like, how many women have you dated? Why are you so desperate? And it was sort of subtly implying that I wasn't happy with us and our relationship. That was at least how it came across to you, and I felt like I was giving off that energy as well. Like, oh no, we got to lock a girl in. And it's like, aren't we just okay with each other? And then any girls are a bonus. Right? I was sort of, and that's a really good fucking lesson for those of you who are just dating one girl. Like you're single and you're just going out and dating women. Like you want to be okay as you are. Like, don't think that a woman's going to fill the void in your heart. That definitely applies to women as well. Don't think a guy's going to fill the void in your fucking soul. You have to be okay by yourself. And then women or men or whatever else, fucking what else would there be? Sex toys. Women, men, and sex toys will be a nice bonus to that.
Yeah.
Next one.
Next point. Do you want to
go? This is like pretty much the same point repeated.
Yeah, I would say specifically like screening harder is the difference.
Yeah. So we screen... Okay, no, yeah, right. It is a different point. So further on that idea of like only seeing people on the second date, we are moving much more towards making sure we like the person that we're seeing, like the chicks that we're seeing. Like we screen harder. We are way more chilled on the first date, I've noticed, and we will like get to know the person a little more, ask them more questions, like that kind of shit, rather than just like, okay, we got to go home and have sex. Like we're making sure we genuinely like the chick, because... If you're at the point where you're just trying to get laid a lot, it matters less. You still want to make sure you like the people that you're sleeping with, obviously. But if you're just thinking like, I just want to get some fucking experience, like you're caring less about like, would I like this person 3 or 6 months from now? And obviously, like, we're not going on to dates going like, will I like this person 3 or 6 months from now? Because that's a quick, surefire way to put pressure on them and, have all these expectations and all that. But we're thinking like a little more long term. It's more like, here's the question I ask myself, and this is worth you guys doing the same thing. I say to myself, after we have sex with this person and all of the sex vibes and all of my horniness has faded away, would I be happy cuddling with her in bed with you? Mm. And if the answer is no, which it has been for a couple of girls, it's like, okay, well, like, we're not going to sleep with them. Because I don't want that moment in bed afterwards where I'm like, I don't like this person. Yeah. I want to get them out of my apartment. Because, and again, if you're just trying to get laid, maybe that isn't even a big deal for you. You're like, I don't care. Like, I'll hang out with her for 5 minutes and then kick her out. And then I'll see her again when I want sex. Like, that's fine. And there's nothing wrong with that. But for us, I don't need that. Because if I want to get laid, I fuck you or one of the other girls that we're seeing that we already like. So it's like, I don't need more. I've said this to you with quite a few girls where you've said like, do you want to see this girl? And I've gone like, No, because I would just be doing it to get laid, and I would rather just have sex with you. The sex with you is better than her, so why would I need another lay? That's another way of phrasing it. It's like we don't need another lay at this point. We're looking for girls who are into self-improvement or who are doing something fucking interesting or who will improve our lives in some way. Maybe girls that want to come on this podcast. Maybe girls that want to do photo shoots with us. That's something we ask every single girl now. Will you come on the podcast and will you do nude, like BDSM photos with us? We're looking for something more. Like they have to add to our life, basically. And this process will happen as you get more abundance, as you date more people. You get to a point where your requirements go up or what you're looking for goes up. Like she has to add to your life. Same applies for women when they get more confident. Like you want a guy that adds to your life. So that's the direction we've been moving more in. Like will she add to our life or is this just a fuck? If this is just a fuck, like how many women have I fucked at this point? Why do I need another fuck? I don't need another notch. It has to be something a little more.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, you can read out number 47.
Is that we did the...
Don't read her name. I don't know why I wrote her name there. Don't read her name.
We did the first podcast with another girl. I think
her name is...
No, we're not saying
Brianna.
That.
Oh, no, I spoiled it. Oh, sorry, Brianna.
I think it was
I've never met a Brianna in my fucking life.
That's a weird name.
It's the weirdest name I could come up with. Shout outs to any Briannas out there.
Brianna.
Shout outs to anyone. Leave a comment, guys, if you know a Brianna and say what she's like. You know, everyone's like, oh, that's such a like Jessica thing to do. Say what like a Brianna thing to do. Like maybe Brianna always like fucking puts the coffee in the fridge and the milk in the cupboard because like that's just Brianna things. Like hashtag just Brianna things.
So I think the episode was called Interview with a Unicorn. It was like a 3-part interview. But it was, I think what was important about that, it was also that we're being more open with girls about what you did. Because I think I know at the start it was something that you didn't necessarily tell many people, and it became
as in when you say what I did, as in that I have a podcast.
Yeah, podcast, coaching, like your blog.
I would say it if they asked, but most people don't ask. Or they say like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a dating coach. Cool. Like that's the end of the conversation. So I was like more preemptively, here's my podcast. We've shown the podcast to a lot of girls at this point now. Yeah. Half of them hate it. Like literally, for a lot of them, I show them before we meet them because I'm also screening on that. And so a lot of them are just like, nope, sorry, no. Like, no, you're too sexual, you're too over the top, you say rude words, you're unpolitically correct, which is a good thing. We want to screen. I won't say half of them. I'm going to say like 25%.
It's a lot.
And then the rest are just like, okay. And then a few are like, oh my God, this is amazing. And then, yeah, great.
Yeah.
So getting her on the podcast was fun.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. That's something we want to do more. I've asked a bunch of girls, but like it's just Christmas time and shit, and girls have been weird and flaky around Christmas, so blah, blah, blah. We'll definitely set that up. That's a mission for this year, to do way more podcasts with girls on there.
I think it's almost a guarantee that at least one girl that we see this year will.
At least one. We'll probably get like 10. I want to get at least like... I don't mean like 10, if not 10 girls, like at least like 10 times. I want to do 10 podcasts with a girl, even if it's the same fucking girl. Number 48, I told my mother that you and I are in an open relationship. So a lot of people will hear this and be like, wait, why did your family not already know that? It was one of those things where I was just waiting for... I was waiting for it to come up.
But it's never going to come up.
Yeah. Because you had told your mother, like, you know, Andy and I sleep with other girls together.
I told her ages ago.
You told her like ages ago, early on in the relationship, which was very good. I think either I pushed you or you were just wise enough to know that you needed to do that. And because you were, for full context, like this is the first relationship you've been in. We met when you were 18. Yeah. We got into a relationship when you were like about a year after dating each other, maybe 9 months after dating each other. Side note, I always recommend not rushing into a relationship. Take at least 6 months if you don't know what you're doing. Like still date casually, see each other once a week and all that. You can still like each other. You can fucking fall in love if you want to, but don't call it a relationship. Don't see each other more than once or maybe twice a week, you know, until you've been together for 6 months for various reasons. I've talked about it in different podcasts, but you told your mother very early on because you wanted to make sure that you weren't just being like a dumb, naive 18-year-old, 19-year-old girl.
It was also because I was figuring a lot of things out. I was very unsure
would I be
about
okay
a lot
with
of
an open
things.
relationship?
I was dealing with the fact that you were seeing other girls at the time. And so I did need somebody to tell. And which was hard for me because I'm quite private about a lot of things with my family. But yeah, you told your mum. Because I think, I think it came up on a date didn't it? Like the actual suggestion.
That's why I
would.
told her, yep.
We were
That was
talking-
specifically why. We went on a date with a girl.
Yeah.
You can tell the story.
Yeah, we went on a date with a girl, and she had, for whatever reason it had come up, she had asked like whether like family knew, or she
About
was,
us.
yeah,
Yep.
she was telling about a story about how she was very, very, very open with her
Mhm.
mother, and then you casually brought up that, yeah, you've just never mentioned it. I'm not sure why, it's just never come up.
Hmm.
And I think it was shortly after that you ended up telling her,
Yeah,
your
it was like a
mum,
week later.
on a phone call.
Yeah. I just called my mum and I told her, yeah. Because like a lot of this stuff, it just, like it's not even private. It's like sexual stuff or relationship stuff. Again, you're just like waiting for the moment. Like, I never hit it, but I'm like waiting for my mother to say like, I don't know. I was like, what? I know, right? Like, do you guys fuck other women together? Like, as if my mother's so fucking sweet and lovely. And I knew that she would never, my mum's not one to judge. She's like a total sweetheart. I was waiting for the moment for it to fucking come up.
Mm.
And yeah, that date that we went on with that girl, I was like, oh, she's told her family. Why the fuck haven't I told my mother? Like, what the fuck?
Mm.
We've been dating for like 3 years. Why? And I'm not even someone that's like private with that stuff usually. I mean, fucking have a YouTube video and shit. But yeah, I was like, I should probably just tell my mother, hey. So I tell her, and she's just like, oh, okay, that's interesting. Like, is Imogen happy? Are you happy? And I was like, yeah. And then she was like, oh, okay, like, how do you meet these women? And I was like, mostly on Tinder. And she's like, oh, okay, and are the women happy? And I was like, yeah. And she goes like, oh, do you see them, like, is it just like a one-night stand? And I was like, no, we try and date them for as long as they'll see us. Like, we like dating longer term and, you know,
Your mum's
mentoring
all
them.
sweetheart.
Yeah, and then she's
Not
like, well,
kidding.
as long as everybody's happy, that's nice. And I was like, okay. And then, like, that was it. So I don't think she gave a fuck. She gave more a fuck about me getting a tattoo, which we'll come to in a second. She didn't really give a fuck about that. She was just like, oh, you're getting a
Yeah,
tattoo?
my mum definitely cares more about
Yeah,
me
your
getting a
mum.
tattoo.
So number 49, you can read that.
Is that I got my, or how are we gonna?
Yeah,
that'll
I
do.
know
My
arm tattoos
moon
are a bitch to show on
tattoo.
camera. You got a tattoo of a moon.
A rocket ship going to the
Rocket
moon.
ship.
Yeah, it was.
Tell the viewers at home, tell the listeners at home what that's representative of.
It was a tattoo for our relationship, about us going to the moon together, kind of achieving greatness or
Mm-hmm.
our goals and striving towards basically anything that we want in life.
Every crypto nerd right now is like literally fucking erect as a fucking like fucking hard rod at the phrase like to the moon, because that's like a fucking crypto phrase. Bitcoin's going to the moon. Fucking Dogecoin is going to the moon. My fucking shit coin is going to the moon. My fucking dickhole coin 43.9 is going to the moon. I bought it for 5 cents and it's going to go up to $1 million. I know that it will. It's going to go to the moon, even though that's more money than in the entire world. It's going to go. Elon Musk is going to buy
And
my coin and then I'm going to sell before he does.
Getting a tattoo was a big step. I mean, I've got one other tattoo that I think we've talked about somewhere in another podcast.
You got the letters W and W on both butt cheeks, so when you spread your butt cheek, it says "Wow."
It's terrible. But I think because I am somebody that
World
is
of
quite...
Warcraft. Yep. Tell your story. Come on. Stop getting interrupted. One of the number one comments we get is that people say, "Stop getting interrupted, Imogen," by Andy. Stop letting yourself get...
Stop getting... Okay. But as somebody who is quite indecisive, getting another tattoo was something that was quite scary for me, especially because, I mean, it's something that we've been working on quite a bit, but I guess the biggest fear, and I think the fear that a lot of people have with relationship tattoos, is that what if you break up and then you've got this thing on your body that reminds you of this other person, and that's mightn't be the nicest experience. And obviously it's not like it's your name or anything like that, but it was still something that I'd gotten as a reflection on our relationship. But part of getting it was this, okay, we're going all in. And obviously we've been dating for quite a while now, and I've seen myself as all in, but obviously the fact that I was scared to indicate that I was holding something back. Or thinking
you
that
were before you got the tattoo. You've gone a lot more all in since you got that tattoo.
Yeah, thinking that things might fail. So
yeah,
that was a big one for me.
That was basically your commitment.
Yeah.
Version of like marriage. Yeah. And that was a big deal for you. And a lot of people do overthink their tattoos and they go like, oh my God, but it's on my body forever. What if I regret it? It's like, you won't. Why would you regret it? It was like a chapter of your life. Even if it was like an impulsive, silly tattoo and nothing silly, like if it meant something to you at the time, but then that means like for the rest of your life, you'll look at it and be like, oh, that was when I was like impulsive. Isn't that nice that I've matured now and I'm different? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, worst case scenario, you get the fucking thing taken off. It's not impossible to take a tattoo off, but especially relationship tattoos. It's such a, and it's funny you talk about like going, like you weren't fully all in the relationship. You hadn't fully taken that dive and gone like, all right, I'm going to make this fucking work. You were 90% in the relationship, but not all the way in because you were worried, like you said, what if we break up and this tattoo just looks silly? People do that, don't they? They are so afraid to... It's also like a negative... Here's what I want to say. It's a negative way of viewing a relationship of like, oh, what if it breaks up and then I'll regret it and I'll be sad. It's like, even if you break up, it'll be a nice chapter of your life. You would have learned a lot from each other. You would have had a lot of memories together. Yeah, it's a bit sad that it didn't ultimately work out, but like you had a nice time together. It's like if your friend moves away to a different city, you're not depressed for the rest of your life that he moved. You're like, man, I'm really glad that I had that friend for all those years. Like he was a big part of my life. That's nice.
Yeah.
People don't default to doing that with relationships, and I wish they would a little more. I wish they'd look at them, because every relationship will end. One or both of you will die. Relationships are, by definition, not permanent. It's a very Buddhist philosophy. You want to like let go of attachment to things and just enjoy them in the moment instead of going like, oh my God, what if I don't have this one day? It's like, you won't. One day you will not have that. One or both of you will die, or they will leave, or you will break up. Like you want to almost grieve. And I told you this recently. This is something we didn't put on the list, but maybe we'll just add it now. I taught you to, or I pushed you to go through a big process of like grieving for the end of our relationship. Like, basically what I mean by that is you had big fears of like, what if we break up and I won't be okay and like I'll miss you and it will be sad. And I basically said like, yeah, you need to move towards those feelings. Like you need to sit in those feelings. You need to go and sit by yourself and meditate and cry and wail and sob and all of that and feel everything you would feel if we broke up so that you can let go of it. You don't want to sit there and be like hamstrung by these feelings of like, oh my God, because you're basically acting with fear. If you're sitting there going, I'm afraid we're going to break up, then that will control how you act in the relationship. You won't be able to fully be invested in the relationship. You'll hold back because you'll go, what if I get too attached? What if I give too much?
Of fear is never going to be a healthy way to conduct a relationship.
You don't want your life to be based on fear, because fear will like dictate your actions. You're not in control. Fear is in control. So you want to let go, and then you can make the decision of like, do I want to stay? How much do I want to give? Like, do I want to hold back a little bit? Do I want to go all the way in? But you want to be making that from a rational place rather than like, oh my God, I'm scared. We're going to break up. What happens? So any guys that are going through, this will be really relevant to a lot of guys, a lot of women as well. This will be really fucking relevant. If you're in a relationship or even just dating casually, and you have those fears of like, fuck, what am I going to do if they leave me? I mean, that's probably 99% of relationships, 99% of marriages for sure. The person is like, what if they leave me? Oh my God, like I can't even think about, what if they cheat on me? What if this? Like you have to face those fears, face those feelings, literally go and sit in a fucking room by yourself and feel it, cry. It will fucking hurt. It will fucking break you. It might take a week to get through that shit. It did for you. You're still working on it. Feel all of that. And come up with idea like, what will I do if we break up? Okay, well, it will suck. We'll have to sell all our shit. We both have a house together. We'll have to sell that. What about the kids? What about this? Like, even if it's a casual relationship. Well, I'll be single. I'll have to go outside again and fucking get my shit together, and I'll have to install Tinder again. Like, go through everything you will have to do and grieve for that. And then once you've processed all of that, you'll be like, wow, I guess even if this person stops seeing me, I'll be okay. Like, there's stuff that I'll do that will make sure I'm okay. It will hurt. I'll be sad. I'll be fucking devastated for a couple of weeks or months or whatever. But I'll ultimately be okay.
Yeah, once you get past that fear, it's when you can start giving more love to the relationship, because you're not operating in the relationship out of fear. It's from a place of love and gratitude and appreciation.
Yes.
Which then ironically strengthens the relationship.
Yes, because here's the point you're trying to get to. You're trying to get to a point where you're showing yourself that you're okay without the other person, or you will be okay without the other person. A better way to phrase it, you are okay without the other person. When you're okay without the other person, now they're a bonus. They are a bonus. You don't need them. This is what we talk about when we say get rid of neediness, have abundance, like, you know, all of that kind of shit. You're getting yourself to a point where you're okay and you don't need them. And so now they're a bonus. You're grateful for bonuses. You're saying, oh my God, this person is, my life is already okay without them, but they're making it even better. Holy shit, I'm so grateful for them. Like, how many times do you and I say, I'm grateful for you to each other every day? Yeah. It's probably like 15 times a fucking day. I'm grateful for you for this. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for this. Thank you for adding this to my life. Like 15, 20 times a day. Because my life would be okay if you weren't here.
Yeah.
And you know that yours would be too. And so everything you do is like, man, like what a fucking precious gift that I have her. I'm in the same place with my parents as well. I fully grieved for, and obviously it was still fucking hurt, but I have fully grieved for the fact that they will die. Probably soon. Probably in the next 10 years. They're both old. Your mother probably in the next fucking 10 or 20 years.
My dad's getting old too.
Yeah, your dad.
Yeah.
And so we've grieved for that. And now I can send my mother a message like fucking, like, what's the last message I sent? Probably fucking yesterday to my mother. I'm going to check now just to fucking make sure.
Oh.
There you go. What was that? Last night?
10th.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally last night. Sent a message telling my mother that I love her and my father very much and I'm grateful. I'll send messages like once a week, maybe once every 2 weeks, saying like, I'm deeply grateful for this. Thank you for fucking giving me life. Thank you for this time when you did this like 10 years ago. Thank you for dad teaching me stoicism. Thank you for you doing this. Like, because I understand that they will die and I'm okay with that. I want to phrase this so I don't shout the person out. There is a person on my forums, and he's not going to listen to this podcast for a long time, which is unfortunate. I could give it to him. He's making his way through all the podcasts, and it will be a while before he catches up to this one. So maybe he won't see this for a while, but he's very much operating from a place of fear with his own parents. Now that I've said that, he's going to know exactly who it is, and a lot of the guys who listen are going to know exactly who I'm talking about. He's very much afraid that his parents will catch this fucking disease that's going around and die. And everything he does is based on that fear. And he's given himself panic attacks when he goes outside to places like, gyms or places like that he goes to. He'll give himself a panic attack going like, shit, what if I catch this disease and take it home and kill my parents? And so he in particular would massively fucking benefit from what we're talking about here, which is processing the grief now. He needs to go and sit in a room for a week, for a day, I don't know how long it'll take, it depends, go and sit there and fucking cry for the fact that his parents will fucking die. And he won't be able to stop it. He cannot save them. You cannot save death. You cannot stop a relationship from ending. And what I mean by that is, even if you do everything amazingly, you have the best relationship ever, one of you will die.
Yep.
Or both of you will die. It will end. You will end. Like you, the person, might end before the relationship does. You die and then the relationship's over. And so you have to give up the fucking neediness of relationships. And it's effort. It takes a lot of effort. I'm not saying this is easy. It isn't. But it frees you up a lot and gets you to a point where you're grateful for the other person. Imagine if this guy that I'm referring to, instead of going like, oh my God, I'm going to have a panic attack because I'm at the gym and I might catch, this fucking magical disease and give it to them and they die. Oh my God, isn't that horrible? He's then not operating from a place of love. He doesn't go home to his parents and look at them with love. He can't. When he looks at them, he will look at them with fear. He will look at them like, oh my God, one day you're going to die. What if I kill you? Oh my God. Like, that's not loving. That's not loving energy. He can't be grateful for his parents when he's stuck down in one of the lower levels of fear, angst, depression, anger, like all of those frustrated, like those negative feelings. Imagine if he can let go of that grief. Then when he goes home, he can look at his parents and be like, I'm so grateful. Even if like this is the last day that I have with you guys, I'm so fucking grateful that you guys are here. He can spend the next 10 years, 20 years, however long they have, telling them how fucking grateful he is for them, loving them. You can't do that when you're stuck in fear. Just like you can't really appreciate a woman, you can't appreciate a relationship, you can't even appreciate casual fucking sex if you're worried about like, what if I never get laid again? What if this is it? What if she's the only girl that will ever fuck me? You have to let go of that shit. And then you can fucking enjoy it. You can just have casual sex or have a relationship and enjoy every second of it because you're like, this is a bonus. Like, I'm grateful for this woman. All right. Also, I got a tattoo.
You got two?
Number 50, I got a tattoo. I got two tattoos. I got a duck tattoo and I got a speak truth tattoo. I'm not going to show them on camera. Can't be bothered showing them on camera. I've shown them on different videos, so Go watch the different videos. If you can't find that, fuck you. You get really lazy when you do a lot of content. I think it's because, like, honestly on that, this is a side point here. For the longest time, I would leave links in the description to, and I still do that on important stuff, but I would leave a link in the description to every single thing. Like, I would basically do other people's research for them.
Yep.
And I would go like, here's a link to the video where I talk about my tattoos. Here's this, here's that, here's this, here's that. As I do more of this, I think that that's not the way to do things. I think what you're doing is babysitting or babying the people who are ultimately going to be lazy and want to be spoon-fed. Those people won't make it. Like, not that they won't make it, but they're not going to stick around for the next 10 years and build an elite life. If you're someone that wants to be babied and have a link handed to you and all of this shit, you know, you're less likely to go and do stuff by yourself. I'm not saying you won't make it.
Be a bunch of other areas in your life where you also struggle to take initiative.
Yeah. And so initiative has to come from, like, one of the biggest reasons why I got to where I am is because I was so fucking self-sufficient. I didn't wait for someone to tell me what to do. I'd go outside and fuck up and make a million mistakes. I would research. If I couldn't find an answer, I'd just experiment and try 10 things and fuck it up and ask for help and get other people. So I think that's why I put less links in the description now. However, if you go and try and find the videos that I'm talking about and you can't find it, leave a fucking comment. Like, I'll help you in a heartbeat. But at least have done the first step of, like, I'm going to go and find this. I'm going to go research this. Like, I'm not telling you to go spend 3 hours trying to find a fucking obscure link. Sure. Like, if you try for 10 minutes and you can't find it, leave a comment. I'll happily tell you what I'm referring to. But yeah. That's a side tangent there. So number 50 is that I got a duck tattoo and a Speak Truth tattoo. So Speak Truth is on my arm. I mean, I guess I can show you, like, look at that. Oh my God, you can see, like, the tiniest little bit of the S, but it goes all up down my forearm and it says Speak Truth. I knew I wanted a tattoo like that for the longest time. Honesty's always been a very important principle. Like, not even honesty. Honesty is a roundabout way of saying truth. I care about truth. I want to know, like, universal truth, like, why the fuck are we here? I might not know the answer to that ever. I'm just a fucking little pleb human being. I'm not God. I'm probably not going to know why we're here, but I would like to spend the rest of my life at least trying to find out what the truth is. Like, as much truth as I can in every capacity, and then I would like to speak that truth, what I believe to be true. So another way of phrasing that is don't tell lies. Like, don't be dishonest, don't manipulate, don't just be in this to make money, for instance. Don't just try and sleep with women just to fuck them. Like, sleep with them because you were honest and they want what you want and you guys all, your values line up or whatever. They want to have fun with you rather than pick up artist stuff or, I mean, not all pick up artist stuff is like that, but some of it is where it's like a little manipulative or a little like pushy. Yeah. You know, some of the Red Pill stuff is a little like, I don't agree with all of it. There's plenty of getting laid gurus who are a little pushy. I don't like that. Moving towards more, not moving towards, it was like an affirmation of my biggest principle, which is like finding and speaking the truth and trying to get other people to have the courage to speak the truth too. It's not even about trying to get other people to be honest. It's about giving you the courage to be honest, because everyone wants to be honest. Everyone wants to speak the truth, at least the truth as they believe it to them. Your truth will be different from mine, but almost nobody wants to tell a lie. Like, you're biologically wired to not enjoy that. Unless you're a psychopath, you are biologically wired to not enjoy. It hurts. It doesn't feel good. You feel guilty, yeah. And so I would like to give as many people I can. One of my missions in life is to give as many people as I can permission to speak the truth, or courage. It's courage, isn't it? It's not permission. It's courage. And I got a duck tattoo. That represents me doing the Approach Anxiety program, which was like a program that I did to learn how to talk to women in public. I did that on the Good Looking Loser forum, so I've got a little duck tattoo right there on my arm that you can't see.
And it's got a little Good Looking Loser.
I'm too shy to show you.
Logo. It's got the little Good Looking Loser logo on his helmet.
Yeah, he's got helmet. A little. Yep.
Yeah, it's cute.
Number 51. You got a smile. We got our teeth whitened.
Yeah. Yep. It's something we've both been meaning to do for a long time. I remember you told me I should get my teeth whitened years ago.
You had very yellow teeth. It was insanely noticeable for you. Like,
see, I don't pay attention to teeth that much, so I'll take your word for it that it's noticeable.
It's insane. Like,
but yeah, I think it was just a financial thing that was holding us back from doing it, and so we finally got to the point like a month ago or so. It's like, why haven't we done this? Yeah. Yeah,
yeah, and that is an important. I think that's a very important thing in self-improvement. Like prioritizing. Like, do I want to just save a bit of money, or do I want to actually look good and have other people respect me? Because that's really what we're talking about. When you respect yourself, when you take your own appearance seriously, other people will as well. It's not just like, oh, I want to get laid, I want some pussy, bro. It's like, no, other people will respect you more if you take care of your own appearance. And there are cheaper versions out there. Obviously, we got the expensive Zoom whitening, the dentist one.
Yeah, I can't be bothered waiting version.
But the dentist ones, yeah, it's the one that just wham, bam, thank you, ma'am, like you're done. You sit in the chair for 45 minutes, your teeth are perfectly white. There are cheaper versions. You can go to a dentist and they'll give you take-home trays. I think that's about $200 Australian, so that would be like $140 US. So that's way more affordable. The dentist expensive one that we got was like what, like
700, 600?
Yeah, so like $450 US for like I said, wham bam, thank you ma'am, it's fucking done, your teeth are perfect. The take home ones take like a week or two of doing that, but they're much cheaper, like less than half the price, like a third of the price roughly. And these prices will be different depending on where you live. These are Australian prices. Yeah. And then you can also get ones that you can just buy on Amazon. I've experimented with them before. They're just strips that you put on your teeth. Those work pretty well, but you're going to be doing that for about a month, maybe 2 months. They're way cheaper. You'll spend probably like fucking $100 on those. So if money is an issue, I would still recommend going to the dentist and just getting the take-home trays. I think that's the best of both worlds. If money isn't an issue, go and do the actual dentist, like sit in a chair, Zoom whitening, professional fucking, Here you go, here's your teeth done in 45 minutes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got a tan. Number 52, I got a tan. Yeah. People are going to be like, you're so white. Actually, I look pretty fucking brown. People will say like, you're so white, dude. You should have seen me before. I was like so fucking white. And this wasn't an intentional tan. We live in somewhere where I go outside every day and it's sunny. I actually thought I would fucking hate living here.
I like it.
I don't like the sun. I never liked the sun. I actually don't hate going out in the sun anymore, which is so fucking weird. Like every ginger will know what I'm talking about here. They're like, you don't hate going in the sun? Like, he's become one of them. He's become a black person. He's fucking Indian. He likes the sun. What's wrong with him? He's a little desert boy. He goes in the fucking desert and licks cactus and fucking lays down in the sand when it's like 52 fucking degrees Celsius. What's wrong with him? He's not one of us anymore. But yeah, I got a tan.
Good job.
I had one in the past, but many years ago. Number 53. You can read this one out.
New clothes for both of us.
Upgraded our style.
Yeah, I think quite a few of these points in this section are about us, I guess, taking our looks more seriously.
Yes.
Putting in the effort when it comes to appearance.
With the sideways baseball cap.
And I think it also does tie back to a point that we made earlier about not delaying happiness, not waiting until our bodies are exactly where we want them to be before we can have white teeth and dress nicely, because that's definitely been something for me personally. It's that I can't wear super cute clothes until I'm super lean, because
as in that was a limiting belief you told yourself. Yes.
Yeah, it was definitely something I told myself, because I felt like I wanted to hide myself with clothes rather than show myself off, because my body wasn't or isn't exactly where I want it to be. And so I think this is a big step for both of us. I definitely needed a bit of a push, and I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But just buying clothes that still make you feel good. And it is interesting how differently you carry yourself, even if your body isn't exactly how you might want it to be, when you are wearing something that makes you feel good. And that then actually ends up having most of the effect that you want anyway, in terms of people respecting you, people acknowledging or understanding. There's this innate sense of like, I like myself, therefore you should be nice to me.
Yeah, I take myself seriously, therefore you should too. And this is something a lot of my coaching clients, like a lot of guys in general, I should say, maybe their body isn't where they want it to be, like they still have work to do, and so they will hold off on buying new clothes, and they'll go, I'm just going to dress like I always have. I'm not going to buy a necklace. I'm not going to, buy some nice fitting shirts. I'm not going to upgrade my style in any capacity, because I still need to lose 20 pounds or whatever, right? I need to gain some muscle. And so they'll continue to dress like shit. And because they're saying like, well, why would I go and buy like 10 outfits or whatever if I don't look good yet? Like my body's going to change, so why buy the outfits? Yeah. I always say, just go and buy 1 or 2 fucking outfits. That's only going to cost you a couple $100 at the most. You can buy it even cheaper than that. upgrade a little bit. Buy a necklace, one ring, one watch. There you go. You're done. Get some piercings if you want to. You don't have to. Get a tattoo if you want to. You don't have to. But like, don't wait till your body is perfect. Do not wait till your body is perfect, because style is probably the quickest thing you can do to increase your, I would say that and grooming, like facial grooming. What I mean by that is like trimming your beard or like styling your facial hair rather than just like a big bushy like shit, and then getting a decent haircut. So haircut, facial styling, and changing your fashion are the 3 quickest things you can do to go from like a fucking 3 out of 10. Not that I give ratings for guys, but like, you know, you're not attractive to pretty fucking above average, like pretty fucking attractive, even while chubby. Like if you're chubby but you dress well, you look better than a hot guy who dresses like dog shit.
I think because people associate it with confidence.
Style is confidence, yes.
And people will think, oh wow, that guy looks so cool, and then that kind of almost distracts from what their body might be, because you're giving off a vibe amazing. Of like, he's such a cool guy.
One of the guys in my coaching program, he will know exactly who I'm referring to as I say this, is chubby. And last time I said that, he was like, oh, thanks, buddy. But like, he's very chubby. Absolutely fucking murders it on Tinder and in person, like talking to girls in person, because he's over the top, insanely good style. Like, and he's black, and black guys look amazing with really good style. Just looks like a fucking god. You might know who. I don't think you've ever seen. I don't think you've seen.
You showed me.
Oh, I showed you one of the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah. He looks like a fucking god in terms of style. And you guys don't have to look like a god, but like, look at the style. I even said like, holy shit, you are just gonna fucking murder it. Like, when you just go out there and talk to some women, or you start using your Tinder properly and actually ask these girls on a date and shit. And I think he's seeing like 3 girls at the same time right now. One of them's been like a long-term, like reason. I say long-term, like, you know, seeing each other for quite a few months, setting up a threesome, but like people have just had COVID or whatever, and that's been getting in the way. But like, chubby. And so, and I mean, Black Dragon, Caleb Jones is another decent example of this. Guy's like fucking chubby, and always has been, and admits like, yeah, I'm fucking chubby, of course. Like, you guys will look way better than me. But he dresses in a suit, or he dresses like really nice fitting shirts, like proper expensive shirts, and you don't have to spend a lot of money on fashion, but he does. And like, it doesn't matter that he's chubby. Yes, it would be infinitely easier if he was chubby. I will be the first if he wasn't chubby. I'll be the first person to say, when you become lean, girls will lust after you. They will want to fuck you desperately. And so it gets 50 times easier, of course. But this isn't binary. You can still get laid if you're a little chubby, if your body isn't perfect, but your fashion is decent. So definitely recommend for anyone who's going like, oh no, I'm going to hold off, like wait till my body is better. No, just buy 1 or 2 outfits right now, or a necklace. Just start like zhuzhing it up a little bit. Zhuzh is a French word for like making yourself look pretty. Make yourself look better.
I don't think so.
I just made it up.
You didn't make up zhuzh, but...
Yeah. Let's do number 54 and then we'll wrap up, because 54 ties into that. So I was going to say probably the best person to get style advice from is Radical. He's a guy on my forums. He's the moderator. He's one of my friends. He has his own YouTube channel and he talks about style. So his channel is, I think it's still called the same channel, Impulsive Improvements. I don't know if he's changed that. Apologies if he has changed that. He might have. He was talking about it. But you guys know Radical. Go on my forums and search for his channel and shit. He's probably the best guy for style. He's also, so this is number 54, is that I paid him, or I'm paying him in as part of my coaching program to be the style coach. So anyone who signs up for my group coaching or my one-on-one coaching gets access to him as their coach. Like, as a style consultant, basically. Like, can you tell me about this? How do I dress better? Can I take pictures and you tell me what to buy? So that's been really good. And that was a big fucking step for me, because obviously that costs money. I'm paying the guy money. It's me upgrading my own coaching, but it was a big deal for me, because it was basically like admitting that it was twofold. It was admitting that my coaching could be better if I involved other people, which was like a little bit of an ego thing I had to get over of like, no, I'm not meant to do everything myself. Like, I want the best for my clients. So that involves getting other people in there as well. So, okay, I'm going to pay this guy. He can be this. It was also admitting like, I'm not good at style, but I've admitted that for a long time. Like, I'm not the style god.
Says the man wearing a hat.
I look good with my hat sideways, though. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
And then a big part of it was just obviously like the financial, like, can I afford to pay him? But I made it very clear to him from the start, like, we'll do this as a trial. I'll pay for you for 6 months and we'll see if we like it. If not, like, no promises I'm going to do it forever. He knew all that. So that's been good. It's been cool having the other guys go like, hey, how do I dress better? And I'm like, ask this guy. Ask my fucking coach who's literally in here right now. And he's been coming on some of the coaching calls as well, which has been cool. So, I mean, I guess I'll say if you join the coaching, you're not just getting access to him as, you know, this sounds like a fucking coaching pitch. It's not meant to be, but whatever. If you are in the coaching program, it's not just access to him as a style consultant. He's also pretty fucking knowledgeable about getting laid, content creation. He's, on that note, because he's a friend of mine, he's a lot more... He's matured a lot over the years. Like, he's a lot more wise and worldly than I ever thought when I first met him.
Because I knew you when he first became a client, and I remember you telling me about
I was
him.
like, this guy's never going to make it. I
Did
didn't.
you?
No, I didn't
You
say
didn't
that. I
remember
didn't
saying
fucking
that,
say that. But, like...
From the bits that you've told me about him, and I've interacted with him a little bit as well, he seems like a fundamentally different person.
Oh, he's changed, like, tenfold over the last, like... 3 or so years. I think I've only known him for like 3 years, something like that. Like I said, he's obviously the moderator on my forum, so I trust him with my fucking life. Trust my forums with my life. Yeah, he's come leaps and bounds. Jesus Christ. So that was the roundabout way, the point that I was trying to make, which is like, it's nice having him in the coaching program, because it's like on coaching calls and shit, I can say like, hey Cam, you know, jump in if you want to say something, and that's been nice. Yeah. And he gives advice in the Facebook group. People will ask like, oh, blah 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 blah. Can you help me with this? And yeah, he's good. So that's been cool. That was a big step for me. That really was a big step for me. Let's save the next couple. Let's wrap up because it's been roughly an hour. We want to keep these to roughly an hour. So we'll come back and do another one.
Maybe 2 left. Maybe 3.
Yeah, I think we'll do 3 more of these. I think we'll try and keep it to 7. I would like it to be 7.
Sure.
All right, guys, as always, what do they need to do? What are these lovely gentlemen and lovely ladies and lovely non-binaries and lovely children and lovely trees and lovely animals and anything else that might be listening? What are these atoms need to do?
They need to go out there and crush their goals.
Don't tell them what to do.